you feel like it's even grinding in. Sometimes I find when I'm doing these, you'll actually be going back and you'll feel something like it's burning right into the floor. Dave Friedman, DF Hardwood Floor Refinishing. In this video, we're going to look at how to sand and refinish a century-old pine floor and some of the challenges we had doing it. Enjoy the video. Feels pretty good, doesn't it? So, you're going to see this god-awful mess of a floor transform into just a beautiful work of beauty. So as you can see, this floor is just a treacherous nightmare. It's coming up all the paper, and we have to change papers very frequently. You can see the condition of the paper after Johnny's gone through a few already.
It's a little easier instead of coming back with it because it's like it's clawing it into the floor, whereas if you just go the one way.
You feel like it's even grinding in. Sometimes I find when I'm doing these, you'll actually be going back and you'll feel something like it's burning right into the floor.
Yeah.
So with this being a pine floor, a softwood, we're actually able to go over this with used papers. So it's not necessary to put brand new drum paper on there because it being a softwood, it'll sand off quite nicely using the used paper. So I've already used this paper here on another job, 36 grit, and that's what I got on there right now on the machine. And you know, it's fine. It'll rough this off. You know, there's about 10 minutes here, so you don't need to use brand new papers on this. It just works fine with this. If you'd like to refinish your floor the way I did in this video, I have links to everything I use down in the description below. This is what happens when you put this filler in the floor. You know, it eventually always breaks out. Now I vacuumed and removed whatever was loose, but with the expansion and contraction of the planks and the boards, all this stuff here, right? All this stuff eventually comes out. You see where it's all been cleaned out already, and I spent a couple hours just vacuuming, but all these little particles, you see that? It just all flakes out. Okay? So that's why I don't recommend a filler on the floor. Because especially in the northern climates, we're here in Canada, Oshawa, Ontario, Canada, expansion and contraction of your planks, this is what happens. The stuff comes out. So you got the summer, winter, the wood expands, contracts. Also, if the floor is not completely solid in every area, that flexing is going to raise these pieces up as well, right? So this is just you see that? You know, that's just an you know, it's everywhere. So this is why, you know, you don't fill a floor. So this being a century home, this was done a long time ago, but the same thing is going to happen now. Even if you apply a filler, in a couple of years it's going to work its way out. So this product we're using for this job is Fabulon Satin Urethane. It's an oil-based product. And as with all oil-based products, what you want to do is thoroughly stir this can. Never shake it and put bubbles in it, just stir it. Nice slow stir. You want to mix all that satiny, milky pigment in with the clear honey gloss so it becomes like a cream mixture. Alright? So just stir it, no shaking. Okay, so as I apply the urethane, what I do is this applicator for these boards is approximately 2 planks wide. So I will do 2 planks, like so. Then once I've applied it, I go back to the previous line by halfway, so 1 plank. And then that gets whatever potential drips could be, and it just blends the two together. So I'll just show you quickly here. I've already cut the end there. You can use the brush itself, the roller itself, to cut the ends. They've taken the baseboards off here, so that makes it really easy for us. So what I've done is I did the full 2 planks, then I go back 1 plank just to do the overlap like this. And note that I'm keeping my roller on the end of the edge of that plank, so it doesn't create any harsh lines or anything like that. The urethane finds its own level, so generally you won't do that anyway. But I just like to keep a consistency. You may find a certain way you like to do it. I just found that when I do it this way, and I always do it this way, that it just becomes sort of a habit. So depending on the width of your planks, if you're dealing with 2 1/4 planks that are hardwood, you usually can cover 4 planks wide. If they're 3 1/4, you can cover 3 planks wide, because this is a 10-inch wide applicator, like the synthetic applicator. So these planks are about 5-inch wide, so they're covering 2. All right, so that's how I urethane the floor. Okay, so we got the first coat done, just finished up, and we're getting ready to leave. So we'll be back tomorrow morning. I'll take you through the process of screen sanding and tacking, and then we will put the second coat on. So after the first coat's been applied, the floor is going to be very rough and coarse now. So even though I sanded it with the orbital sander to an 80 grit, might have been a little excessive, but I wanted to get rid of the marks that were on there. So basically it brings it up. It's not too bad though. Actually, it's pretty good for considering what I usually come up with these pine floors. This one's not too bad. So I'm going to take the screen sander, and I'm going to actually do this with the OBS 18 today, the Clarke, and we're going to screen sand this entire floor. So the process we're going to be using first is we're going to be taking this screen sand 180 grit and our Clarke OBS 18, and we're going to screen sand this entire job, and then we're going to vacuum and tack it. So when we're screen sanding this floor, we got to make sure that we always continue with the grain, and because the screen can actually get caught between the planks, so we have to kind of go at a slight angle when we cross over and move it. So you want to just screen it and get that coarseness off, so that we can then vacuum and then proceed to tack it and then put the next coat on. So if you notice, the technique I use when I'm actually screening is you want to be lifting up the handle so the drum is actually sitting flat on the floor, because if you lean back with it, lean back like this because you're putting all the weight on the back of the pad here, and it's not an effective way to sand the floor. You actually want to be lifting up a little bit and sanding the floor so all the weight is distributed from the center out. One of the challenges of working with the Clarke OBS 18 is that you have to be aware of the screen as you cross the floor. And what I mean by that, if there's any bad planks that could potentially, where the screen could potentially get stuck, you want to be moving across on like a 45-degree angle across the floor. Because this floor here, it's got undulations, it's got slopes, it's all over the place. And we just want to cross at a 45-degree angle, and I'm going to demonstrate that to you now. So luckily I can run this thing with one hand, and I'm able to show you what I mean. I'm holding the camera and I'm going to run this thing with one hand here so I can show you exactly what I mean on crossing the floor with this. So as I'm moving across the floor, I'm on a 45-degree angle here. Straighten out towards you get to the end of the plank, and then move back. Again, stay on an angle, because sometimes if you go square like this, you'll get caught in the plank. So to do this 200 square feet, it should only take you about 20 minutes to screen sand the entire thing. We're not going over it and over it. This 180 grit's going to take that coarseness down in one pass. So you don't need to dwell on it. You don't need to go continually back and forth. You just pass over it and then you feel it. It'll be smooth as glass after. So as I had mentioned before, that I don't recommend applying a filler on these floors at all because of the expansion and contraction and the fact that all this stuff works its way out, okay, in time. Now this, of course, is a century home, so this was done a century ago. And I know what you're thinking is, well, why didn't I take it all out? Well, I'll tell you why. I give the customer the option. When you do your quotes, I put that in as an option. Clearly, they didn't want to do it. So there are certain financial constraints that customers have. They don't want to do it. That's fine. The option was there. You know, that would involve taking a scraper, taking a fine and sharp tool, a sharp knife that I would do. I've done it before where we go through every plank. We would have taken all that stuff out. But everything you're going to quote has to have a price to it. So they didn't want to go for it, and that's their option. That's their prerogative, right? So this is the best we can come up with. Now, this customer actually previously did the other two rooms. So you can see where he did, this is what I did, and you can see where he did a couple years ago, and he just left it all in there. Now, I myself would have taken it all out, but that's the way I would have done it. The customer has the option, but if they don't want to do it, they don't want to do it. You can only do what you can do. So I've done a very thorough job of vacuuming. But before I can apply the urethane, if you look at my hand here, it's pristine clean. Now, when I wipe it on the floor, that's all on the floor still after vacuuming. So you see it's necessary to tack the floor, wipe all that off before we apply the next coat of urethane. Okay, so we've gone through, you vacuum everything, we vacuum between the cracks, we've done a very thorough vacuuming of the floor, and now we're going to go on to this step. So where I've cut up a bunch of rags, these little cloths I've cut up, and I'm going to put them on my my applicator here. So what I do is I dampen them with a thinner. You dampen them with a thinner, you dampen them with mineral spirits, and you don't saturate it so it's dripping all over the floor, but you want it damp so it's going to tack the floor, and we're going to pick up the residual dust. So I'm going to start wiping here. Well, let's just take a look at that. Okay. See how much gunk is on there now. That's why it's necessary to go through this process. Okay, the second coat's dry now. We're back the following day. You can see it's starting to look really nice. Just a plain satin finish on pine. And the nightmare that was in here before is totally cleaned up. I'll be going through the same process I did yesterday, screen sanding, vacuuming and tacking, and then applying the third coat. So until next time, happy sanding and refinishing.